We need to really educate ourselves to vote for the person that has the qualifications, the will, and the stamina to work for our country.
I didn't look anything like it. What they have said that I should be, that makes no sense. And so I'm very much like you. I am an American citizen. It's very difficult for me to be in a box.
Condemn the media, the high-level media that has Hispanic vote, or the African-American vote, the white vote, or this vote, or that vote. The big media are doing a disservice to democracy. They are the ones that they are really dismantling democracy.
Because they fail to see us as individuals.
First and most important, the root causes of that is in many places there's not enough doctors. Now, if you do some research, the medical schools only accept 4.5% of the applicants. So you have plenty of doctors out there.
Exactly.
So you don't have a shortage of doctors. We, the people, should start, rather than working for big corporations, start your own business. Even if you make just as much as you will make there as an employee, start your own business.
Today, we have a very special guest. His name is George Danis. He is a successful businessman, organizer, entrepreneur, and philanthropist. George's life story takes us from a rural poverty in Greece to the Ellis Island Medal of Honor. And in his new book, Go Far, Give Back, Live Greek, it is filled with lots of wisdom on democracy, giving back, and reclaiming our individual power. So I am thrilled to have him on the show. George, welcome.
Thank you very much, Rosabel. I greatly appreciate it. It's an honor to be with you and to share a little of my story and my findings after so many years in our great country.
Absolutely. Well, you and I, we both have something in common. I don't know if you know that, but I'm also an immigrant. I've been in this country for 21 years now. I was born in Colombia, South America, so we can definitely talk a lot about that. We're going to be diving into what it means to re-engage with democracy beyond just voting, and how we, the people, can, from small groups, address the problems of our political leaders have ignored for decades. About those lessons that you have learned growing up in Greece, and how resourcefulness blossoms from hardship. Why is it that repairing broken systems starts with each one of us? So stay tuned for that. Welcome to Rosabel Unscripted, the podcast where authenticity meets real life stories. I'm your host, Rosabel Zohfeld, and in each episode, I dive into unscripted conversations about personal growth, life challenges, and the experiences that shaped us. From heart-to-heart chats with inspiring guests to raw moments of self-discovery, I am here to share stories that connect us all. Whether you're seeking motivation, healing, or simply a dose of real talk, you are in the right place. So get comfortable, tune in, and join me on this journey of transformation, empowerment, and meaningful conversations. This is Rosabel Unscripted.
Rosabel, you're right on the mark. Democracy has responsibility from both sides, both the citizens and the governing body. So the citizens means every citizen. Doesn't mean only the people that work hard and earn less or very small salary or wages. The problem that I see after the Vietnam War, the American government, all administrations have allowed the public traded companies to become monopolies, and they have so many tax loopholes that they really are not paying their fair share. Fair share doesn't mean the percentage of it, but it means all the money that they hoard on the private companies, that they have their own philanthropic private accounts that they call it philanthropic, in the billions of dollars, tax-free. They give to schools like the Harvard right now. All their gifts are tax-free, and all the taxes around there are free. But you and I, trying to save money to send our children to school, we pay taxes. We need to level the playing field in some ways, and really, yes, you have a foundation, private foundation, but pay taxes first before you put the money in there. The simple and hardworking people, in order to save on the 401k, is tax-free until you take it out of your account and you pay taxes. But one in the upper level of earnings, they have private foundations. They put their money there. They give it to all of their pet projects tax-free. This is an unfair game. The same thing in our national service. Who is serving our country? The poor families' children. Everybody else sits back and doesn't care what's happening around the world with our men and the women. And those are the things that are really, if you have, when people go and read the book, there's summaries, obviously, and all these issues and all these shortcomings or unattended issues that it affects the people. And I don't want to call it working people, the low earning people. In some ways, everybody's working. And the CEOs of a large corporation, it works in his own way, but he earns $100 million, and a worker at Starbucks gets $15-16 an hour. Where is the fairness to that?
George, why don't you give us a brief snapshot of your journey, if that's okay, from rural Greece to the U.S.? What drove you to make that leap?
Because I had no choice. There was no jobs, and we were hungry. And I tried to find a way, and the only way I could find was to go to the merchant marine, travel around the world, and eventually come to the United States illegally, worked for a year and a half. I was put in jail, deported, serving deported back to Greece. I served there in the Navy and the Armed Forces, Navy, for 2 years. When I finished or discharged, I got another merchant marine boat from Italy, Naples, Italy, to Mobile, Alabama. I jumped ship again. Illegal. Came back to Boston, I got married, and I got my papers, and I stayed. It was the dream to survive. And obviously, as I went on, persistently hard work and continuously trying to do my part in a democracy at every level, I was able to succeed. And success doesn't mean to me that you made money. It means to give back to people. This is why I named the book, or I put the title, I Came Far, I Give Back, and I live in a democracy. Not how much fat I eat or olive oil is to be a good citizen. Having said that, because of the upheaval and the problem that we have, it is very important to open the doors, but prevent people to come in not through the way I came. Because when I came, I did pay my dues. I was illegal. I was apprehended, in jail. So, and I do agree that we really need to secure the borders and bring people appropriately, not just coming in at their will. And with them, there come in other people that they're not as kind and they are not as good as citizens.
George, thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's so important. That's the reason why I ask you, especially me understanding that, because again, I am also an immigrant and I came here again legally illegal. We're immigrants, right? And so I totally understand where you're coming from. And it is important for people to know, that background, because then they can understand perhaps where do we come from when we talk about how do we conceive democracy and all those ideas that we have. We have lived, I don't know about Greece. I don't know if Greece at the time or now it is or it was considered a third world country, perhaps. I know at one point Colombia was, and things were completely different. It's like two total different worlds, and then the whole culture. So I'm with you with that. You not only have to, now you come into a new country, a new language that you have to acclimate, and also culturally and so many things that happen, And I don't know if you still have family back in Greece.
And it's exactly, your point is exactly correct. You come here, you have to learn all over again. Nobody comes or leaves their country because they just want to live. They live because they have a concern and inability to survive.
Right. Absolutely.
All in all, my approach and my feeling, again, it's all outlined. You can do anything, you can work and improve the system in many ways, but we also need to get involved. And the democracy doesn't and after you vote. It is just beginning to make sure that we really, first of all, vet our candidates. We also continue to make sure that the candidates do what we feel appropriately for our country and our sustainability of our country.
Absolutely. And I understand that you, through your work as being a political and politics fundraiser and advisor, gave back through philanthropy. Ultimately, you received the Ellis Medal of Honor for promoting democracy. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Again, because of in a democracy, all of us have to know and understand that it affects us. It's the foundation of our being. And we can't say that, I voted or nothing I can do. Yes, we can. By organizing, by getting people. As a matter of fact, we all can pressure and persuade our elected officials to make sure that they are doing what needs to be done to sustain our country. Right now, we have such a evolution of the whole thing. It's all upside down. And they're all talking about the market, and 90% of the American people, they're not even recognized by the media. The billionaires and the stock market and the trade agreement, and totally forgetting the other 90%, which is 300 million of us that are not even mentioned. So this is why democracy, this is why I got involved, yes. And not only I got involved, I was very involved with many of them, including when the Soviet Union folded, we set up a Gorbachev Fund, the president of the Soviet Union, had been out of office. So we set up a North American Gorbachev Foundation, and we had Gorbachev going around making speeches how we can be able to enhance democracy in Europe, Eastern Europe, especially when it was occupied by the Soviet Union. Now we're back to nowhere again. So I believe that we, the people, in fact, if you do pick up the book, my beginning of it is a letter to the reader, we the people. That's how I start. Throughout the years, I learned from my old country. I grew up during the war, the German occupation, World War II in Greece. And so I lived every segment, every decade of the 20th and part of the 21st century, and I see we're going the wrong way. And the government has not the will to level the playing field. And this is why democracy is so important to be safeguarded by us.
Absolutely. I can see your point. You feel like telling people, like the listeners, hey, we're going the wrong direction, because you have lived through it. So, but tell us a little bit more about the book. What is the main purpose of your book? What is the core concept? Is it democracy?
There are two parts of our system, democracy and capitalism. Neither one can survive or prosper without the other. And so the part that's so important is that we need democracy. The media is the safeguard of democracy and capitalism. The other part is the capitalism. But today, in the last 50 years, our administrations have allowed the capitalism to totally take the oxygen out of democracy and allow people like the present situation to spend $250 million in campaigning donations to elect people. It's preposterous. It is unacceptable to democracy. And so the part that's really, and I wrote the book for three reasons. One is my own personal reason to document my journey and my experience and how I got here. The second part is to really thank all the people, because our country is good. We have good people. I have met thousands of people personally and individually, as well as in the business, as well as in the campaigning for political leaders across the country. And I have found no one to be except beautiful, extremely nice and helpful and participate and supported in every. So I wanted to thank the American people that they helped me and recognized me and took me into their circle. And the third is to give back. To give back and remind the American people, all of us, the rich need to give more and they need to pay more. And whatever we can do to help in every way we can is so important. It's not an unfair situation that we have been growing, we have been supporting throughout the 50 years.
And let's talk manufacturing, because I think you mentioned that in your book as well. Why do you think is bringing manufacturing to the U.S. is so crucial, and how do small group efforts fit into that?
Yes, think about it. If you don't have an oven at your home or a stove, and depend to go outside in some place to cook your food and bring it home, that is not going to survive for a long period of time. It's not going to be the best thing. During the pandemic, we couldn't get material because we had to bring it all the way from Asia, as well as it was totally impossible to both bring it and the cost. The other part of that is that by doing that, it became obvious that the unemployment and the middle class didn't have a place to work. And we allowed the big companies like the Home Depots and the Costco's and Amazon and Walmart's and all the pharmaceutical companies to take their manufacturing overseas, China and India, and bring it back to us to pay for it. Now, what that does, there are two problems. One is we get used to it and thinking that we don't have to pay as much because somebody else is suffering to build that. The U.S. government is depending and demanding equal rights, human rights, but at the same time allow the big conglomerate companies to go and have them subjected to a very low salary and living in a housing that is one room for 6 months and they go home into rural areas of China. And so how we allow this to be the case? One way, allowing the private sector and the corporations to take advantage of the workers in China. And the other side would tell the government of China that human rights are abused. We're abusing it. We're giving them the opportunity to do exactly that. And so now, with a geopolitical, in addition to that, geopolitically, we're in a turmoil. And all of a sudden, you have a war, tariffs going up and down. And so it's like a chaos. If we were smart, we could have very well industrialized the South America all the way to the tip of the Americas. Would have been like both the taking advantage and making sure that our people in the continent of the Americas are industrialized and don't have to migrate. If we had done what we did for China, we wouldn't have any problem with the migrants. Nobody wants to leave their home, do they?
No, I don't think so.
If we could have done that in addition to, I think even in the book, we could have put rail lines all the way to South America and get the transportation, the logistics much easier and much secure and not having the geopolitical problem that we have right now. So
Absolutely.
I believe, and it's the most important part, that we really bring back manufacturing to the Americas, not only to the United States, but
The Americas. And you also mentioned about forming effective civic groups. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, for the same reason that we just talked about earlier, yes. Your people at work, your people in the community, your people at your faith, whatever, it's important to really talk and participate and inform our elected officials what we need, what they should be doing, rather than what they want to do without any supervision. The part that is interesting, the Constitution is built to have the people's government, not the government's people. It's just as simple as that. We, the people, are the ones that not only in the election, but also to make sure that they do what they need to do for our country.
So, and you do mention that more than ever we're polarized, and that many of us, unfortunately, seen in our lifetimes. How do you think we engage, with the people across party lines without falling into tribalism?
By really being more centrist, seeing both sides, the left and the right. A little story of that, which is in a book, I believe, is when I was close friends with Edward Kennedy, the Senator Edward Kennedy. And one time we were meeting in Boston for a lunch, and he said to me, "George, I'm mad at you." I says, "Why, Senator?" He says, "Because my office told me you're not a registered Democrat." I says, "No, I'm an American." He says, "What the hell do you think I am?" I says, "You're a senator. You have chosen ideology, and I support you because I feel that you're working towards the fairness of all of our citizens." Okay? So I really remind people that when you're on either side, an extremist never wins. You have to compromise. You have to get together. Now, the politicians, on the other hand, they cannot do that. Why? Because they need and they want to keep their jobs.
Right. They represent one or the other.
Correct. Correct. And if they're going to, a Republican or a Democrat says, "Oh, I'm working with Bell to do this," why should I vote for you anymore? I'm going to vote for someone that only looks at my side. This is why we need to really educate ourselves in schools, especially, to become Americans, and vote for the right person. Vote for the person that has the qualifications, the will, and the stamina to work for our country.
Absolutely. I gotta say that I agree with you on that very much. And that's one of the messages that I talk a lot on my podcast. And I mention also in many other ways, culturally also. For example, me growing up in Colombia, South America, I always knew we're a mixed culture, right? We got so many backgrounds. And I just thought I was just Colombian while I was there. But I came here to the US, and I said this very much, and then suddenly I find that now I'm in some sort of a box that I am considered Hispanic or whatever, all these things, which, okay, well, I guess it's too big that they gotta put us in different boxes. But the problem with that for me was that I didn't look anything like it, what they have said that I should be, how I should. I'm like, that makes no sense, And so I'm very much like you. I am an American citizen, and I consider myself an American. It's very difficult for me to be in a box of.
Exactly. And I tell you, I look at it and exactly that. I also condemn media, the high-level media that have been doing that. The Hispanic vote, or the African-American vote, or white vote, or this vote, or that vote, or the consumer. I feel, and this is why I think the press in general, especially the media that control the country, the big media that control the country, are doing a disservice to democracy. They are the ones that they are really dismantling democracy.
Because they fail to see us as individuals and also as human beings. I always say this, there's a reason why each one of us, and no matter how many billions of us humans are on Earth, we all have a different set of fingerprints. Not even twins have the same fingerprints. We are all unique. And in that uniqueness, we can also bring so much to the table. I believe that when we work together in unity, if we bring the ideas and work together toward a common goal, to me, that's a lot more attainable in a way.
Yes.
As opposed to what we're seeing right now, all the division.
Exactly. The media should be the facilitator in bringing people together rather than getting, of course, the other part with them is the becoming They are only looking how many millions of dollars that they get from the advertising.
Right, because they're more concerned about the money and it's a business, right? And then when we look everything in the lens of a business, the kind of the humanity goes out the door in a way. And that has not only transcended in a political, but also look at healthcare as well, and so many other.
That is exactly. And the healthcare, for instance, and unfortunately in 20 that Obama took over and he wanted to do the affordable health care. First and most important, the root causes of it is many places there's not enough doctors. Now, if you do some research, the medical schools only accept 4.5% of the applicants. What's wrong with accepting 15%? So you have plenty of doctors out there.
Exactly.
So you don't have a shortage of doctors. And then don't allow the big hospitals to become private, profitable centers, what before used to be community hospitals. Now the venture capital have been buying hospitals. They're buying all the small hospitals. So there's no hospitals except a conglomerate in Boston. There are 2 hospitals, Massachusetts General and Beth Israel, pretty much. They have bought all the small hospitals, and there is nothing else left.
Exactly. And what's interesting? Many of those hospitals that call themselves for nonprofit, that is not true.
Not true. Exactly. Not true. And getting free gifts, tax-free gifts.
Yes.
It's a very serious problem. And this is why I think both the Democrats and the Republicans at this present time have done a disservice to the American people, to the citizens of our country. Plus, there are 2 things that could have been done immediately and make it easier, not instituting another institution, the health care. Now, we have we have 2 areas. We have the employees should provide health care for the workers, should be mandatory, and the Medicaid to cover the unemployed people. Period. We don't need another institution because we have, the only people are not working is 10 million people. Now those should be taken care of through Medicaid, not through another institution. So these are the things that they're not paying attention. They are really creating another business for their supporters and their money.
And at the end of the day, who suffers is we, the people. The people. Let me ask you this, George. As a father and grandfather, what legacy do you hope to pass on?
Exactly what I wrote the book for. In every chapter, I give them my own experience. I cover it with what I see that they should be working on. We, the people, should start, rather than working for big corporations, start your own business. Even if you make just as much as you will make there as an employee, start your own business. Don't work for Home Depot or places like that. Start your own small shop to sell things. Compete with these people. Put them, start to advertise and talk to your friends. And this is why you get together and support those small shops locally. Not to the Walmarts and people like that. Support your small supermarket in a corner, a private small supermarket. Because these people, the Walmarts, buy material from South America, from the Far East, and they buy it from people that are working for a merely survival wages, and they bring it back and they're selling it to us. They make a bundle of money. The other one that is very important is all the pharmaceutical companies. There is a middleman, a broker, that makes an enormous amount of money. So the manufacturer sells it to the broker sells it to the pharmacist, and the pharmacist sells to the people. So you have the manufacturer, and you have 3 points that they make an enormous amount of money, and we pay for an exuberant cost of healthcare and medication. It's not hard to do, Rosabel. It's just a matter of commitments by the elected officials. Now, I have to say that the elected president and this administration, I think, is touching some of these things, but in a wrong way. What you say, it is how you say it. It isn't what you do, it is how you do it. There's no plan. It reminds me, during the late 90s, I was doing a lot of business with Motorola. My discussion to them all the time was because they never planned anything. It is like in the armed forces, a soldier in an enemy war says, ready, fire, aim. We fire, and then we start thinking how to do it. And that's exactly what has happened. There is no, we react. We don't have a plan what needs to be done. Even to this day, with the administration, they're talking about tariffs. What is the purpose? We don't know what the purpose is. Negotiating what? What he's negotiating? Nobody knows what he's negotiating.
Yeah, it's hard. There's so much going on right now. I think in a way, even whatever party we're talking, we might be talking, people are becoming nauseated from not understanding what truly is going on. Yeah. George, is there anything I have not asked you that perhaps you're like, I really need to get that out there?
And I think we, the people, need to really look at it and even find ways to promote a third party. Because right now we have a dictatorship between the Democrats and the Republicans. There's no choices. The last election was not much of a choice. And so we really need to have a choice. And right now our country, and of course, we have to be honest with ourselves. The present administration did not create the havoc that is in our plate, has been building up for the last 50 years. All the debts and all the upheaval and all the trade agreements and all these things, including eliminating the national service, which is so important to our country, to our people. Not only the low wage earned people should be fighting the wars. We all should be fighting the war. Should be national service. And we pay out our youngsters their college education. The universities, all the higher education, the price is going skyrocketing. Nobody can afford it anymore.
Yes. It's cool.
We, the people, have a lot of work.
Absolutely.
And we need to really be careful not to hurt anyone, but also make sure that everybody is honest. There's dishonesty and there's no respect. And that starts from the home and from our schools in earlier years.
Absolutely. George, this has been such a rich conversation. But before I let you go, how can listeners connect with you and where can they find your book?
At Amazon, George E. Danis, Go Far, Give Back, Live Greek. Please pick it up. I wrote it to express my gratitude and remind our citizens, our country, that we really need to fix things. And in fact, one of the finishing chapters is exactly that. Finish it. Fix it. Nobody else will do it for us.
Absolutely. So I encourage people to go to your website, which is www.george.
George Danis. You can find it there. And on that, you'll also find some of the reviews that I have. We have over 30 5-star reviews on the book, about the book. And it's a pleasure, Rosabel.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights, your wisdom, your knowledge, and all of this. I want to thank our listeners for taking the time to listen to this conversation. And also, again, listeners, if you did enjoy this episode, please go visit George's website. Also, visit my website as well, rosabelzohfeld.com. So you can also find show notes, links to George's book as well, and some bonus resources. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode of Rosabel Unscripted. Your support helps me create more free unscripted content. Thank you so much, George.
Thank you very much, Rosabel.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
If this episode spoke to you, if it sparked a thought, a feeling, or a shift, I invite you to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss an episode. Visit www.rosabelzohfeld.com Here on Rosabel Unscripted, we dive deep into real stories, mindful moments, and conversations that matter. Every week, we explore themes like resilience, healing, transformation, and the courage to rewrite your own story. So if you're ready to grow, reflect, and walk this journey with an open heart, hit that subscribe button, give the video a like, and drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's keep the conversation going. There are new episodes every week.